one for the ladies. Hailie Deegan wins in Meridian.
The philosophy my dad has passed down is to look for these moments in your racing career where it comes down to the last moment. The pressure's on, but to not let that pressure make you crack.
Hailie Deegan would be born as the first child of freestyle motocross rider Brian Deegan on July 18, 2001. She would quickly follow her father's footsteps by taking an interest in racing at a young age, going to her father's various races in rallycross, off-road racing, and supercross, while also watching him compete and win multiple times in the X Games. She started riding dirt bikes at the age of 7, before getting gifted a junior card on her 8th birthday, where she would then begin competing in the Lucas Oil Junior Kart Series, the same series Sheldon Creed would also start his racing career in. In 2013, at the age of 12, she would become the first female driver to win a Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Championship, winning the Junior 2 Kart Class Championship. 3 years later, she would go on to become the Modified Kart National Champion, later being named the Driver of the Year. Around this time, Deegan would transition into stock cars, trying out and joining NASCAR's Drive for Diversity program, and becoming a Youth Rev Racing Legend driver, competing in the 2016 Summer Shootout at Charlotte.
I'm here at the Bojangles Summer Shootout at Charlotte Motor Speedway, racing Rev Racing's Legend cars since I got picked up in their youth development program.
She's been racing dirt in Southern California, doing really well, and she tried out for the diversity program, and they ended up accepting her, so we're like, all right, now we got to figure out how we're going to go East Coast to all these races. So we did, we're here. As a dad, I like any type of racing. I just want to see her do well, so that's why I'm here.
So they brought me out here to race this summer shootout, getting some more practice into my Legend car, hoping to step it up and get into bigger cars.
She would become a NASCAR Next driver in 2017, becoming one of only 9 drivers selected, being the youngest driver at 15, and the only female in the group also. Many future NASCAR winners and Cup drivers would be in her class, featuring Harrison Burton, Todd Gilliland, Riley Herbst, Zane Smith, and Ty Majeski. Deegan would also compete in various short track races throughout 2017, finishing outside of the top 10 in both her Pro Cars late model starts for Toyota. She also continued to race full-time in the Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series, competing in the Pro Light division. However, 2017 would be her final year of off-road racing, as in 2018 she would fully complete her transition into NASCAR as a Toyota development driver. Deegan would replace Todd Gilliland in the number 19 Bill McAnally K&N West car, getting a top seat in the series, while Gilliland moved up to the Truck Series. Hoping to go through the NASCAR ranks like other Toyota development drivers, such as Christopher Bell, Daniel Suarez, and Eric Jones, Deegan would run the full 15-race schedule in the K&N West Series at just 16 years old, and a part-time K&N East schedule also, after getting picked up to drive the car following a test she would do for the team just the year prior. She would make her debut in the opening race for the East Series at New Smyrna, starting 9th of 29 cars, but being forced to retire early in the race on lap 19 due to mechanical problems. Her K&N West debut at Kern County would fare much better though, finishing top 10 in 7th place, and earning high praise from Cup champion Kevin Harvick, who raced alongside her.
As I look back on the event and you know, take away, you know, if I had to pick one person to say, all right, that's the person that KHI would want to represent and you know, think has the most potential, it would probably be Hailie Deegan. She did really, really well. Obviously, they have, you know, I would call it a unique racing heritage within their family with Brian. And, you know, I got to race with her for a little bit there at the end of the race, and she did a great job in the car. So, you know, I think as far as potential and reach and just racing knowledge and getting in a car as young as she is, you know, that would be the one that I would pluck out of the series and say, that's the one we want to be a part of, because she has a lot of potential and already has, you know, some racing experience in multiple vehicles. So that was fun to see.
She would follow this up with back-to-back top 10s, before earning her first top 5 of the year at Orange Show Speedway, finishing in 4th place. Deegan would be selected into the 2018 NASCAR Next program for the 2nd year in a row, being the youngest member once again. In her NASCAR road course debut at Sonoma, she would pick up an impressive 3rd place qualifying effort, while also earning her high school diploma that weekend at the track. The race would have multiple Cup drivers running in it, trying to gain experience at the track, featuring Eric Almirola, William Byron, Daniel Suarez, and others. She would come home a respectable 7th place, just one spot behind Toyota teammate Eric Jones. The 7th place finish would be her 6th straight top 10 to open up her season. The next race at Roseburg, she would capture a career best finish of 2nd place, behind teammate Derek Kraus out of 13 cars. Her first DNF of the season would come the next race at Iowa.
Behind her, Tyler Dipple in the 54, who you remember was, whoa, contact right there. The 40 of Alfredo moving up the track, and Deegan collects him.
Late in the race while she was running in the top 10, her and Anthony Alfredo would make contact down the back straightaway, ending both of their days early. Another DNF at Gateway after running into the back of Sam Mayer would drop her down to 7th in the standings. However, following the rough stretch, she would have her best career race at the Las Vegas dirt track. Coming from a dirt background, Deegan would thrive, collecting her first pole and leading her first ever laps. However, she would come up just short in 2nd place to Sheldon Creed, who also shared the same background as her. Deegan wouldn't have to wait long for redemption though, collecting her first win at Meridian, leading just the last lap the very next week.
There she goes, she's going to take a shot at him.
Trouble in front of him, and now she's going to get into the back end of Rouse. Hailie Deegan to the lead. Can she maintain it through 3 and 4? Here comes Rouse back. No. Score 1 for the ladies. Hailie Deegan wins in Meridian.
Deegan would move her teammate in the 99 to collect the win, and she would go on to round out her season in the final 2 races with 2 more top 10s and a pole at Kern County, leaving her with a solid 5th place points finish. She would return to her team in 2019 in the same car, running full-time in the West Series and part-time in the East Series, while also jumping up to ARCA for a part-time schedule in the 55 for Billy Venturini. A rainout in qualifying at New Smyrna would allow Deegan to start her K&N East season from the pole. However, electrical problems late in the race would relegate her to a 16th place finish. She would struggle in her K&N East Series runs throughout the year, only getting 3 top 10s in 8 races, with many of the races featuring 20 or less cars. Her K&N West Series season would start off with a bang. Going to the Las Vegas dirt track to open up the season, she would once again lead just 1 lap but claim victory.
She can just get there. She'll put the bumper to Jagger in the 6.
Well, let's see. Here's the white flag. What does he do with the lap traffic?
Oh,
can he use it to his advantage? No! He gets hung up by the 52. Here comes Hailie! Inside! Hailie Deegan shoving her way past the 6. We've got a new leader here in Vegas.
I can't believe her out. That lap car in the 72 just cut Jagger off. Let's see. He's going to give her the bumper.
He got right back into her. She gets a little wide. Gathers it back up. Powering off of Orin. Hailie Deegan will win the season opener in Vegas.
The next 2 races would see her garner back-to-back top 5s, followed by a 15th place run at Tucson. At Colorado the next week, Deegan would have the best performance of her NASCAR career as of the recording of this video. Rolling off the grid in 4th, she would drive up to 2nd quickly in the race, and after a midway caution, she would be back to 4th. Following the restart, she would drive from 4th to 1st in 4 laps, holding onto the lead for the next 65 laps. A late race restart would bunch the field back together, and on the green-white checkered, her teammate Derek Kraus would drive her up the track in turn 1. Deegan would then repay the favor back to Kraus the next lap.
Inside. And the 16 jumped into it. Reminds you of what happened in the dirt a little bit earlier this year? Your new leader at the white flag, the 16 Derek Kraus. And look, here comes Hailie Deegan, and they spin! We have a spin at the front of the pack, now the 2 teammates spin!
In her 3rd win in the series, it would mark the 3rd time she moved someone to take the win, and the 2nd time it would happen to one of her teammates. The win would put her 2nd in the standings, and she would hold there for the next 5 races. Deegan wouldn't win for the rest of the season, and failed to lead any more laps after Colorado. She improved on her stats from the previous year in the series, going from 5th to 3rd in the standings, while also improving her top 5 total, and raising her average finish from 7.7 in 2018 to 6.1 in 2019. Her ARCA debut would come at Toledo, only lasting 29 laps before making contact with Joe Graff Jr., sending both cars hard into the wall and ending each of their days. The rest of her schedule would go more smooth, capturing 4 top 10s in the next 5 races, including her first career ARCA top 5 at IRP. Deegan, after just 2 years in her NASCAR career, was already one of the biggest names on social media in NASCAR, having the most Instagram followers of anyone in the sport, while also ranking 2nd in social engagement. People around the industry took notice, with one reporter stating she might be NASCAR's best hope of finding the female Stardust lack since Danica Patrick retired. Deegan believed she had the potential to deliver similar marketing clout as Danica Patrick, while also emerging as a Cup Series contender, the way her victory list predecessor could not. The plan in 2019 for Hailie Deegan was for her to run full-time in the Truck Series by 2021, before joining the Xfinity Series in 2023. Following her 2019 season, her and Toyota would go their separate ways. With Toyota having too many prospects for their available Cup and Xfinity rides, Deegan would sign with Ford following the season, in a deal that was said to last for many of her birthdays. Mark Rushbrook, the global director of Ford Performance Motorsports, would state in a press release, "Hailie has shown in her brief time behind the wheel of a stock car that she's got what it takes to be successful. Our goal is to put her on a path to realize our shared goal of winning championships, and part of that is gaining experience on tracks, such as road courses and super speedways. We feel this year will serve as a good foundation for what lies ahead." She would begin her campaign with Ford running full-time in the ARCA Series for DGR Crosley in 2020, making her super speedway debut at the opening race in Daytona.
Gets right up against the rear bumper. Now they're not together, and then he kind of moved to the inside, and so she made contact with the right rear corner of that car. These bumpers don't line up exactly, and I think that contact turned him dead right into the outside wall.
There you see it again, yep, and one little tap is all it takes. I'm not a physics guy, but I certainly understand the physics of what happened right there.
Hailie needs a little bit of help from Drew Dollar, that 15 car, maybe to make a move on Michael Self.
Down to 3,600-foot backstretch. Cars remaining nose to tail. A breakaway pack of 6, the final 2 corners.
I'm not sure Drew's close enough to Hailie to really give her much help to try to do something with Michael Self.
Here comes Michael Self. Will anybody compete with him? No. Michael Self wins for the 8th time. He has captured his 2nd Daytona 200.
She would turn the 11 midway through the race trying to learn to bump draft. However, she would still finish 2nd to open her season. 3 straight 7th place runs and a 3rd place at IRP following Daytona left her comfortably in the top 5 in points. Her top 10 streak would end at Kentucky with 25 to go, after a crash down the backstretch late in the race would take her out of contention, leaving her in 14th. A mechanical problem at Iowa would again see her have a poor finish, while the rest of the year saw her finish outside of the top 10 just one more time in the next 13 races. However, the field size was usually around just 20 cars or less, due to the pandemic making it harder for smaller teams to operate. ARCA, like NASCAR, would remove all practice and qualifying in 2020, to the dismay of many, including Deegan. She would state, "It just makes it really difficult, especially for a driver like me, that doesn't have as much experience as I want to have, and needs more experience, and you're not getting that. It favors the drivers who have been there forever, but the drivers up and coming, they're trying to make it in the sport, get seat time, get experience, because these races they still cost the same for sponsors to pay for, as if we got practice and qualifying and all that stuff. So it's like I get cut short." Deegan would end the season with 4 top 5s and 17 top 10s, along with a 3rd place points finish, taking home Rookie of the Year honors. Her year wouldn't end in just ARCA, however, also making her NASCAR debut in the Truck Series at Kansas for DGR Crosley in the 17. She'd run solidly all day after having to start from the back, finishing a respectable 16th just 1 lap down with no practice. Following her solid run, Ford and DGR Crosley would make the decision to move her up full-time in the Truck Series for 2021, driving the number 1 for DGR. And to say she struggled would be an understatement.
Daytona. That is awesome. Look at that speedy drive. Matt Crafton with a big push down the back. Hailie Deegan. Contact. In the back.
Yeah, really hard to see what happened there.
How difficult is it to see when you go through that speedy drive? I mean, from
I think it's worse.
It looks like it's really difficult.
I think it's worse from the perspective we see here on TV.
The case here. Yep. Does the 12 dive in and run into the 1? You see the 1 on the right side of the screen. Oh, she rolled up the hill and Tate went higher into the hill. Knocked his steering out when he got to the back of her.
And what brought out the caution, there you see contact with the 45 of Darnell.
Does she have a tire going down maybe?
She looked awful slow.
Yeah, it looked like maybe the right front was going down, and so that was the result.
And a caution is out again. Oh, and Austin Hill, the 16 involved.
And he's out of the groove. He's like, he lost track of the truck's handling. And Hailie had nowhere to go. That is such a tough call with all the different safer barriers now. Trucks, cars.
Hill winning at Homestead, Miami.
Yeah, that's late in the.
Deegan would open the season at Daytona with a south spin into the inside wall, which set the tone for how her rookie season would end up. Through the first 4 races, she would fail to finish inside of the top 20, before finally collecting a 19th place run at the Bristol Dirt Race, which was a disappointing run considering her K&N and ARCA dirt success she had in the year prior. The lack of practice and qualifying certainly would play a role in her struggles, but as the races went on in the season, her finishes would not improve. It wouldn't be until the 16th race of the season where Deegan would collect her first top 10, with a respectable 7th place run at Gateway, followed by 3 straight races where she would DNF due to crashes. Surprisingly, these would end up being her only DNFs in her rookie campaign. Once the season concluded, she found herself 17th in points, only beating 2 other full-time entries, one being her teammate Tanner Gray, and the other being Tate Fogelman. Deegan would return to the 1 in 2022 for DJR Crosley, looking to improve on her disappointing rookie season. Unlike 2021, teams would now have practice and qualifying, giving her more chances to gain experience. Unfortunately, her season would get off to an awful start again, getting involved in a crash in the first 4 races of the year, resulting in 3 DNFs. Things wouldn't get much better when they got to Bristol Dirt again either, as she would once again struggle translating her past dirt success into the Truck Series, finishing in 18th. A 19th place run at Martinsville and another DNF at Darlington left her 28th in points, behind multiple part-time trucks. It wouldn't be until the 11th race of the year at Gateway, where she would finally get her first top 15 finish of the year, partially thanks to 9 DNFs from other trucks, and a last lap crash that allowed her to gain some positions. A DNF the next week at Sonoma would give her 5 DNFs through her first 12 races of the year, nearly doubling her rookie season total of 3. The highlight of her season and of her NASCAR career up to this point would happen the next week at Knoxville, winning the 3rd qualifying heat race, but she'd later end up finishing 15th in the main race. She'd again crash the next week at Nashville, leaving her with a 50% crash rate throughout the first 14 races of the year. To make things worse, Ryan Preece, her teammate, had ran 6 races and was still 6 positions ahead of Deegan in points halfway through the season, even capturing another win at Nashville. Her first top 10 of 2022 would come from the 15th race of the season at Mid-Ohio, seeing her finish a respectable 10th place. At the Fall Las Vegas race in 2022, Deegan would make her Xfinity debut for SS Greenlight Racing in the 07 car. After a solid run of 13th in her NASCAR Xfinity Series debut, it gave the hope that if she moved up to the Xfinity Series where the cars are looser, it would better match her off-road and dirt racing background. On the truck side, outside of a 6th place run at Talladega, she'd continue to underachieve in her ride throughout the 2022 season, finishing 21st in points, 4 positions behind her 2021 performance, and 3 positions behind Ryan Preece, who would only compete in 10 of the 23 races on the same team. Her DNF total would double from the year prior, going from 3 to 7, and her average finish would even drop, from 20.9 to 22.1. Deegan and DJR Crosley would go their separate ways following the 2022 season, with them swapping names to Tricon Garage and becoming the Top Truck Toyota team. Still being signed as a Ford driver, she would move over to the best Ford Truck Series team in ThorSport Racing. Expectations would be higher than ever for Deegan, joining a race-winning and championship-contending team, while many viewed this as her last chance to prove herself after multiple disappointing seasons. Deegan would state, "I think the last 2 seasons in trucks I've been trying to figure it out. I feel like I have a good grasp on it now and understand what you need to be successful. There are a lot of pieces to the puzzle. The last 2 years I've been trying to find those pieces. Coming here to ThorSport, they've always had the pieces of the puzzle figured out. I believe in myself, I think that I have it, and I think that we were probably just missing a few pieces, and you get to a point where in your development, you have to just take that next step." Just like 2022, she would start off her season with 2 crashes at Daytona and Las Vegas, before 3 solid runs of 12th, 16th, and 6th at Atlanta, COTA, and Texas. A 13th place run at Bristol and a 12th place run at Kansas left her 15th in the standings after the first 7 races. This would be the last time in the year she would be top 15 in points. 6 straight finishes of 20th or worse would ruin any chance she had at a good season. Many people had given up on Deegan at this point, or wanted her to move up to the Xfinity Series for one final chance to see what she could offer. Still, the task at hand was trying to improve in the Truck Series, which she continued struggling to do.
Right there was just a little bit of touch on the right rear corner, it looked like.
Yeah, that totally avoidable. I don't know if she didn't drive in as far as he thought she might, but you can't just run over someone.
Wow,
Watch
Nick
this hit here.
Sanchez.
That's just
all 4 tires up off the ground.
Let's see what happened here.
Landon Lewis's 0-4 was right behind Hailie. Don't know, maybe there might have been, it almost had to look like there was some contact. And it kind of shot Hailie into the corner.
There's a replay what happened on the front stretch. This was back in the 23rd spot.
Yeah, they were 4 wide there in back of the bike. It looked like Colby Howard probably got into the outside wall.
Oh, somebody squeezed up. That was Hailie squeezing up.
And then moved away and got into the right rear quarter panel of Colby Howard.
An 8th place run at Talladega would be her only other top 10 of the year, rounding out the season 19th in the standings, while teammate Ben Rhodes would capture the championship, even though he didn't deserve it. She would again only manage to beat 2 full-time trucks in the standings, only besting Colby Howard in the 9 truck and Dean Thompson in the 5. Her average finish would improve to 21st, but would still be behind her rookie season, also finishing worse in the standings. Still midway through the season, it was announced that she would be moving up to the Xfinity Series full-time, replacing Brett Moffitt at AM Racing in a multi-year deal. This was Hailie Deegan's last chance to prove she belonged full-time in a NASCAR ride, and again she would underachieve.
Here we go. And we have our first caution of the night. It's going to be Sam Mayer in the 1.
Well, there's another car involved.
That is not good. Kyle Weatherman, the 91. Trying to figure out how those other 2 cars got caught up in that.
It looked like the white car. Is that
Hailie Deegan?
Is that Hailie?
I thought it was the 15.
Yes, it is.
Here they come into turn 1. You see the wreck's already started. A lot of damage for Hailie Deegan in the 15. You see the left front just tore all off that car. She was down the inside wall.
Yeah, this is the first time we've seen Justin Allgaier have a good start. He was on the bottom lane. I think that was part of it. Oh, he's gonna wreck!
John on an even check. It looked like he was wrecked by his teammate Chandler Smith. Now they're wrecking all over at the front of the field, guys.
That was a big wreck. That was a big wreck.
Deegan would collect just 3 top 20 finishes in her first 17 races, while on the same ride the year prior, Brett Moffitt would have 4 top 10s and sit 14th in the standings at this point. After finishing outside of the top 30 8 times in the first 17 races, it would be announced just prior to the Chicago street race that Hailie Deegan would part ways with AM Racing effective immediately. The team would hire Joey Logano to replace her, stating, "The level of competition in the Xfinity Series is as competitive as it's ever been. It is our goal at AM Racing to field a competitive race team through our technical alliance with Stewart-Haas Racing and provide any of our drivers the best equipment and opportunity to be successful on the track each weekend." With that being said, we haven't had the success on track that we were hoping for in the first half of the season. When the opportunity to have Joey in the car at Chicago became a possibility, we felt we needed to take advantage of the knowledge and feedback that a 2-time Cup Series champion could provide to our team's growth. In his lone start, Logano would collect a top 10 in the Chicago street race, besting Hailie Deegan's best round of 12th at Talladega. And as of now, that's it for Deegan in NASCAR. I'm sure she'll end up finding some type of ride driving for Ford, but it probably won't help her avoid becoming a NASCAR bust. Deegan has only earned 3 K&N West Series wins as her career highlights so far, all of which involved her using the bumper. In ARCA and K&N, she would usually only have to race against 10 to 12 competitive cars each week, which would definitely show when she entered NASCAR. So what's next for Hailie Deegan? Well, very recently it was revealed that she was at the IndyCar race at Iowa this weekend, and she was also testing an IndyCar at Gateway, so she might just pull some type of reverse Danica Patrick. Hailie Deegan in NASCAR was unable to put up anywhere close to the results she was posting in the lower series. If any other prospect in NASCAR history were to perform the way she had, they would be kicked out of NASCAR and would be seen working at the local McDonald's about 2 years ago. At this point in time, Hailie Deegan should be considered a NASCAR bust, but maybe another team somewhere will take a chance on her and give her another try, to show if she can compete in IndyCar or NASCAR in the future.